welcome to the first episode of The Obscurity of Maximum Security. I'm Kara Phillip, and this is Mike Johnson. Today he is going to tell us some stories about how it all began.
Hello. Well, how about we start at the beginning? 1984. I was working in sales. I had gone to college after I got out of the Army, and something was missing, and I quickly found out what it was. It was adrenaline. I was at, of all places, I was at a funeral at a West Side Joliet funeral home that at the time was in a house. It's not there anymore. The house is. And ran into my cousin. And he says, "So what are you doing?" I said, "I'm working in sales." And he goes, "You should go out to the old prison. They hire veterans like right now." And I thought, well, I'll check that out, So back in those days, you didn't go home if you wanted a job. You didn't go home. There was no laptop, no tablet. You went to the prison of your choice, and you walked in, and you got a paper application. And that's what I did. Now, living in Joliet, I had a choice. Stateville, Old Joliet. There was a work release center out on 53 by Lewis College University now, and there was the youth center on McDonough Street. Well, I went with Old Joliet because when I was a kid, I was always in awe of it. Every time I'm in the car with my parents, had my face smashed up to the window, looking at those big limestone walls. And then across the street from the main prison, there usually was 2 or 3 trustees hanging out. And the place always did kind of fascinate me. I never thought I'd end up working there. And I eventually did. So I turned in an application with all my attachments. They wanted your high school diploma, college, if you had it, and I had it. DD 214 from the Army. So I brought it in, turned it in. And then I would call the training office. As I said, every prison did its own hiring, and I'd call the training office and say, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm still interested in the job. I'm Mike Johnson, Well, I get a phone call. "Come on in, take the written test." So I went in and went up to the 4th floor of the administration building, the northwest corner, which is all caved in now.
Gone now.
It's all gone.
Gone.
That was where the training office was at that time, back in 84. And I went up there, took the written exam, and went home. And then about a week later or so, I get another phone call and come in for the physical agility test. So, same room.
Oh, wow.
Okay, went up there to training office. The physical agility was, standing on one foot and doing all this stuff. And also there was some calisthenics they wanted you to do. You did some push-ups and whatever, sit-ups or something. And just to, make sure you were, you had some agility, I guess.
Something.
And I was in my 20s then, and I'm not like blowing my own horn here, but I was in pretty good shape back then. I was playing Park District softball 2 or 3 nights a week. I was swimming. I was running a little bit. I rode my bicycle. I had a Schwinn 10-speed. So I was in pretty good shape in those days. So anyway, I get another phone call a week or 2 later. "We want you to come in for the physical."
Oh, okay.
So I come in, and they took us down to the hospital, on the main floor, about halfway down on the left.
So they really took you inside the prison now at this point.
Right,
How cleared are you even? But they're taking you right in the middle.
Right, and there was a doctor there. At least I hope he was a doctor. because I got probed. And but yeah, he did the physical, okay. And all right, cool. And they took urine, and I always thought it was for a drug test or something. And so okay, I lived through the physical, went home, and they called up again a couple weeks later, a week or two later. This whole process took like about 4 or 5 weeks.
This is
5 weeks, okay. So I come in. They wanted to interview me. So, yeah.
They
Apparently,
do all of it.
And I forgot they
And
fingerprinted everybody too, and so they checked you out, make sure you didn't have a record or
They
anything.
haven't even talked to you.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Poking and prodding and jumping all
yeah.
over the room.
So I come in for the interview, and they took me down to the assistant warden's office, which was across from North Seg in the Powerhouse building.
They're, again, walking you all over that prison.
And that was his assistant warden's office. So I go in there, and there's the assistant warden and a captain. And, oh, come on in. You're Michael Johnson. I say, yes, I am. Come on in. And basically, they want to know, without coming right out and asking you, they give you some hypotheticals, and they want to know if you're going to throw down. Okay, if something happens, they want to know if you're going to jump in and help. That was pretty much the interview. By this time, they pretty much knew everything else about you.
There was nothing left
So
to
it
the
was
imagination.
they just wanted to make sure that you weren't a wallflower or something. So I guess I passed that interview. Okay, so went home, and then I get a phone call like a day or so later.
Now they're moving.
It's something like that. And okay, we need you to come in. We have some paperwork for you to fill out. And I remember it was a Friday, and the date was July 6th, 1984. So I went in, and there was, I think, 13 of us. And we were at the big conference table upstairs, second floor. It's all caved in now. Mm-hmm. Okay. And
I tell you, it looked good. It looked good.
Oh yeah. It was a really cool room. It had a built-in buffet and hutch in the wall, and like I said, though, it's gone now. But
that was the ballroom, wasn't it, or something like that?
It was right when you went up the stairwell by the warden's office, and you kept going straight. It was right there.
Yeah, that would have been gorgeous.
Yeah, second floor. But so anyway, they started handing out like W-4s and all that. They said, "Oh, by the way, you're all hired." Okay, so we're filling out everything that they handed out, and a lieutenant come in, and he goes, "Okay, I need you all to follow me." So we went down the stairs, and we went across the street to that annex, the old women's prison, R&C. We went inside, went in the back. Now, back in those days, they had a dry cleaning plant back there, because guards could turn in their uniform pants and have them dry cleaned. There was a few inmates that worked in that small dry cleaning plant. Your shirts you laundered yourself, but I digress. So anyway, he took us back to this, where the dry cleaning plant was, and he gave us 3 new short sleeve shirts and 3 patches that needed to be sewn on. And he gave us 3 pair of green uniform pants. Okay. Mine were all used, and they were all different sizes. Different waists and different lengths, okay? And, I forgot to mention at this point, it was we came in for the uniforms, but it was a Saturday morning, about 11 o'clock in the morning. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because after he handed out the uniforms, obviously they needed tailoring.
Yeah.
Okay.
By Monday morning?
Yeah. He said, okay, be here 7 a.m. Monday morning, take the bus to Springfield. And it wasn't a Greyhound bus. It was one of those corrections buses that you see with the inmates on. It's like a school bus with a cage in the front and a cage in the back. And that's the kind of bus we took. And but anyway, so I got to get some tailoring done. Nobody in my family could do it. Now, sewing patches on, yeah, I can do that. So anyway, I got out the yellow pages.
Oh.
And I'm looking for, somebody that could tailor my pants. And it's, getting close to noon on a Saturday. I made some calls and I found a place down, it was a cleaners on the corner of Jackson and Henderson, or Cass and Henderson. I think it was Jackson and Henderson. It's still there, the building. And there was an older lady in there, and she said, I'll take care of you, honey. Aww. And she tailored my 3 pair of pants for me, and she told me come back in a couple hours or whatever. And well, anyway, I had pants that actually fit. They were all used, and she sewed my patches on.
Oh.
So
God bless.
So then Monday morning, I went and showed up to get on the bus. So we get on the bus. And we were going to be there every week. There was 5 or 6 weeks of training. And we left on a Monday morning, came back on Friday afternoon. And the bus, we left Joliet, and we'd go to Stateville and pick up the trainees from Stateville. Go down 55 to Dwight and picked up the trainees for Dwight. And that was the highlight of the trip. And then we'd go down... We'd go down to Pontiac and pick those people up, okay? And we didn't stop at Lincoln and Logan. Lincoln and Logan are 2 prisons that are across the street from each other in Lincoln, Illinois, about 20 minutes this side of Springfield. They must have just did their own transportation for them, because we blew right by Lincoln. And, okay, so we get to the Corrections Academy, which was an old Lutheran seminary. And the Corrections Academy is still there. And,
is it still being used?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's called Concordia Court.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's where administrative offices are. And it was a Lutheran seminary, so there were dormitories, classrooms, a cafeteria.
Just made for you.
Yeah, prior to that, they used to train at St. Xavier. I don't know how that worked out.
Chicago?
That was,
okay.
We're at South Side.
Yeah, I went to Macaulay, so same
campus. Oh, okay, yeah, it's all on that.
Same campus, right
yeah,
there.
Right, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where they trained. I don't know how it worked as far as housing, or if they had to just drive every day. I don't know. That was before my time. But we were restricted to campus. And what they teach you down there, of course, the use of restraints, handcuffs, waist chains, leg chains, of course, paperwork. It's a lot of report writing, incident reports, disciplinary reports. They teach you all of that. And there's also firearms training. Now, working inside the prison, guards do not carry firearms or nightsticks or anything like that. Lieutenants and above carry handcuffs and pepper spray. The weapons are in the towers. The towers are your protection while you're on the ground, working with the inmates and everything. Anyway, back in '84 there, they just transitioned from Winchester 30-30s, lever action rifles. They just transitioned from them to Ruger Mini 14s. They were clip-fed semi-automatic, so you didn't have to jack around in after you fired. It was semi-automatic, as pull the trigger until the clip would fly out, drop out or whatever. We also had to qualify with the rifles, and we had to qualify annually after that. The official sidearm back then for corrections, and again, you did not carry guns in the prison. We had a sidearm when we took inmates to court, the hospital, or anything on the outside. Funeral furlough, which they were very, very rarely given permission for a funeral furlough. Well, back then we had 38 pistols, revolvers, Smith & Wesson, 4-inch barrel, stainless. Nowadays they probably got Glocks or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but back then we had revolvers, and we had to qualify with those every year. We also had to fire, not to qualify with, but for familiarization. We had Remington 870p pump shotguns, the short ones, like the cops had. Maybe they still have them, I don't know. And we also had 37 millimeter gas guns. They break open like a flare gun. You drop the projectile in. And then, like I said, you have a classroom about the weapons, how to sight. And this is why they like having veterans, because we had all that. We had all that training, and we knew how to shoot. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to fire a rifle and a pistol, it's like the same thing. It's the same mechanics. But still, we still had to go through all the classroom stuff with the sighting charts and, all that, fire at silhouette targets and qualify. And it was like the military. You qualified marksman, sharpshooter, or expert. I got expert. Okay. But anyway, so it's like pretty much it with the training. I mean, it was something different. We learned a lot of stuff.
How long was the training altogether?
About 5 weeks, I thought. Okay. I think.
Some long
something
bus
like
rides.
that. Yeah, with picking everybody up and everything.
Yeah.
Now I used to drive down there in later years by myself, and I could blow down there without stopping anywhere. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now that was back then in the 80s. But yeah, then on Fridays we got on the bus and came back and dropped people off at Pontiac, Dwight, Stateville, and then finally we'd pull into Joliet. And but yeah, it was about 5 weeks. And I went down there for 3 more weeks of training. Tactical unit. I was on the TAC team, and this was after I had about 6 months in, or a year or something. And I went down there for tactical unit training, and that's where they teach you how to fight and defend yourself with a baton, those 36-inch ones. And we also got to train with dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, we.
Did you get to have dogs at the prison?
Well, they bring. We didn't have them at the prison. What it was with the training with the dogs during TAC team training, half of us would be like inmates. We'd be like a skirmish line, and the other half would be like the good guys, for lack of a better term.
Team, yeah.
They would be, lined up in back of the dogs, and the canine guys have the dogs, and they had those leashes, that so much could go out, and then they stopped, and they said, okay, you guys are on the skirmish line, you're the inmates, and they said, when we blow this whistle, he goes, you turn and run. He says, prior to me blowing the whistle, I want you waving your arms, yelling, screaming, making a lot of noise. So I was a skirmisher, I was part of the inmate, the skirmish line or whatever. And, we're all yelling, screaming, waving our arms and hands and everything. He blows the whistle, and those dogs come running around each end of the line, and we're running like, and then all of a sudden, I kept looking, and they're barking, they're coming after us, and then all of a sudden it's like, they got to the end of the.
Oh.
They had those retractable.
That was a really long leash.
Yeah, it was weird, but I don't know what it taught us, but it makes for a good story. Okay, and then at the prison, the canine, we had the drug dogs would come, and they told us how they train a dog to sniff for drugs. They said, first of all, you need a dog that likes to play with a ball. Okay. And then they'll like throw the ball and the dog will go get the ball, and they'll. So they're basically, they start out playing ball with the dog. And then they got a ball that opens up and they put like pot in it and then close it back up. And,
okay.
And they let the dog play with the pot ball. Okay. And then they throw it and he'd go get it and bring it back. And then they start doing stuff like throwing it into like tall weeds or a cornfield or something. And then the dog's got to use his sniffer.
Real good at it.
Right. And then bring it back. And so we had the canine units come and we not only shook down the inmate cells, we also shook down cars in the parking lot, visitors. And staff too.
Yeah, I was gonna say you walk by those lockers.
Yeah, and staff.
Just in case.
Yeah, and we'd be waiting out in the parking lot, and there'd be signs out there back then that said, "You're entering state property. You're subject to search." This is at Old Joliet.
Yeah.
And well, it's not like we're hiding behind a bush or nothing. We're standing out there with dogs. Everybody's uniformed, and people would still pull into the parking lot. Now, if I had a bunch of junk in the car that I didn't want nobody to know about, I would have kept going right down Collins Street.
Whoops, guess I'm not going there today.
People still pull in, and we found guns and
oh my God.
and dope and all kinds of things we found. And then the state police would be called because it was state property, so it wasn't Joliet police. State police would come.
They got themselves into some trouble then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the one story we opened up the trunk. This guy's got like a ton of stuff in there, and I'm going through everything, and here's this towel like wrapped up in a ball, and I'm unwrapping the towel, and there's like the cheapest looking Saturday night special you ever saw in your life. It looked like it was made in somebody's garage. It was really crude looking. It was like a revolver, handgun, pistol, and it was I couldn't believe it. And the guy that owned the car comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you can keep that." Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just like throw my job away for this." This.
He was hoping you would, so that he could be like, "Oh, that guy though,
right.
He kept that."
And but yeah, so what we did, we'd shake down the car by hand first, the inside of the car. We found like, roaches, doobies in the ashtray. We found ammo. And then we'd shake down the trunk. And, like I said, we did find handguns sometimes.
People were wild in the 80s. Like, come on.
Found some knives. Stuff like that, So after we got done shaking down the car by hand, then they'd let the dog in there. And the dog would smell, and sometimes would find something under the seat or someplace that, and then same thing in the cell house when the dogs would go in the cells, and if they found drugs in the cell or if they found it in somebody's car, it's reward time, and they would get to play with a ball for like about a couple minutes.
So does word ever get out to the public? Like, do people share, "Hey, watch what you pull into that parking lot with," or do they just keep coming? Like,
they'd still come in, and even with the signage and everything, they'd still pull in.
They were going to be the smartest one and not get caught today.
I mean, it's just, I just don't know what part of you're pulling on state property and there's uniformed guys with dogs there.
They're just
why would you just
today.
Pull in?
They're gonna be the smartest.
Yeah, and also sometimes they give the dog a cookie, a treat, or play with the ball for a little bit, maybe a cookie, and then you'd always
go back to work.
You'd always have somebody say, hey, can I pet the dog? One of the people that they were shaking down. And this one officer always used to say, hey, I don't touch your wife, you don't touch my dog. So anyway, I guess, basically we finished the training in Springfield and we had a graduation ceremony and we got a certificate, okay? And it was very paramilitary like. We used to march. We would also every morning we'd had a flag detail. We'd burn the flag up. It was very paramilitary. The rank structure is paramilitary. You have your correctional officers, guards, okay, sergeants, lieutenants, captain, and the major was the chief of security for any prison. So that's paramilitary.
Yeah.
And also prison life itself is structured like the military. We wake everybody up. They go to chow in the morning. They'll go to work, school. Then they have the chow, lunch, go back to work and school, and then, of course, the evening meal. Where they ate was never called a cafeteria. It was called the inmate dining room.
You knew I was going to ask what they called it.
But anyway, also other activities the inmates had, they could go to yard, and we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to get across for this session was the training and the Corrections Academy. And after we graduated, we went back, and the following Monday, we started at the old Joliet prison. And I guess we want to pick up there next time.
We'll pick up there next time.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. So we started from the very beginning of the Obscurity of Maximum Security. So if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about for the next episode, let us know. And we can't wait to join you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.